Okay, so the topic for today.
Yeah, it's disturbing, really.
It is absolutely like what is killing us. I mean, okay,
Everything.
so everything, right? Well, hold on. Let's kind of back up. Let's kind of understand what we're talking about here, because we're slowly dying, right? That's kind of our life. That's what happens. We slowly die over time, right? We grow, we get to like a prime age, and after that, we gracefully, some of us gracefully age, and age will kill us eventually, right? And then I've heard this thing like, it's not that age that kills you; it's actually disease that kills you. You just at some point your body just can't fight off that disease.
Right.
So, I want to talk about like what speeds that up in our lifetimes, in our current lifetime, day-to-day lifetime. What speeds that up?
And what I want to talk about similar is just it's not so much because there's the accelerating and there's the other side of it where it's like inhibiting your natural defenses to certain things and also like robbing you of certain qualities of life. So a lot of the stuff that has really been bombarded lately for me has had to do with hormone disruption.
Okay. And how does that happen though? What outside effects disrupt our hormones?
So, and it's crazy how many things that are man-made are able to mimic hormones. So that
mostly estrogen.
mostly estrogen, right?
I mean, let me get some estrogen.
Yeah, I haven't had enough of my phytoestrogen. So there's, I realize we live in a world. We drive, we commute in traffic, and I know we're going to get exposed to stuff. So to me, it's not about not being able to live in the world. It's about knocking out the things that are like bombarding you with, because I think our bodies were designed to handle certain amounts of stress.
Sure. Well, I mean, hold on, but let's say let's kind of talk about evolutionary wise. The only over, let's say, a 10,000, maybe 50,000 year span where that's enough for us to evolve different things, right? Like skin color, eye color, hair color, right? 10,000 or maybe even 1,000 years. We could probably, change some of that stuff. But the only thing in the last 10,000 or even 1,000 years, the only outside, how can I say it, source that we had was the sun and radiation from the sun. That's the only thing we had. Now we have plastics. We have wireless signals that are all over the place.
Right.
We have weird lights we're always staring at. I don't even want to get into the food and diet portion of it. We have air conditioning. We have microwaves. We have food processing that who knows how they contaminate food.
So
we have sitting down.
Yeah, right, and not getting it
the
out
way,
of us.
yeah, the clothes we wear and the materials it's made from.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. the way we never ground ourselves, we never touch the ground. We're always insulated. So all this is new.
And I think there are, hidden things because, we can talk about cloud seeding. What are they, putting in the air to diffuse the tension in the stratosphere? And, again, down to smaller things, I see everybody running around in their car with like an air freshener in their car.
Right, there you go. There's another chemical that's bombarding us.
Right. And I think a lot like we've talked about, it's like, well, if you had some yellow 40 and your entire diet was clean, and then you had a serving of chips with yellow 40, it's like, I think you'd be okay.
Yes.
But
I agree.
But we get, it's like we get in our car. Well, first of all, we're in our home, probably have a couple air fresheners or something scented, whether it's your toilet bowl cleaner or something, you know.
Well, okay. I mean, okay, if you want to look at it that way, we get up from our not grounded bed with our plastic sheeting. Then we go brush our teeth with our toothpaste that who knows how much plastic it has. Then we take a shower with chlorine-filled water and our skin absorbs it because everybody takes a hot shower.
And a pleasantly scented chemical detergent.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All the scented, what's it called? Soap and for the hair shampoo. Thank you.
Still soap.
Right. And then we wipe ourselves with a towel that's probably in I mean, okay, that's just like the first 15 minutes of our day.
Right.
Our whole day is filled with this. So like your analogy, we have that chips with food coloring is okay. The rest of 95% of our day is clean. But to me, it's like most of our day is filled with this crap. I mean, and we're not dead yet, right? We're not dropping dead. Everybody's doing this.
Right, but we're getting, when you look across the board, I think that's when you start to get a bigger picture. We're having things like low levels of testosterone in younger and younger people. And, I mean, the amount is staggering.
Well, that also contributes to the obesity issues in America.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, there's other countries that have, let's say, diabetes issues, but nobody's obese like America.
But you know what's kind of interesting? Nobody I've ever known, when their house kind of has like a funk, maybe you burned some chicken, right? Whatever.
Happens to me all the time.
Or you have some relatives over and, whatever.
Yeah. It's a little, their carpet's a little smelly.
Or no, they come to your house.
Oh.
Okay. I've never met anybody who's ever said, after the chicken's burned or the family members have gone home, let's go ahead and close up all the windows and mask it with all these things. What do you do? Generally speaking, it's like, can we open some windows, get some fresh air in?
Yeah, absolutely. That's like the best solution.
Right. And yet, why are we, it's this question I have, like, why does it seem so natural then to include all of these things that we do to, make everything smell good, taste good? I've never once had a delicious steak and thought, just a little more red 40. You see what I'm trying to say here? It's like, so how is it that it's getting so, like, you would never have a situation and then use these things to fix it, and yet we go buy Doritos all the time?
Well, okay, there's a few, I would say, in my opinion, a few things at play. Capitalism.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with capitalism. You could blame capitalism all you want because it's cheaper, it's easier to get. But if there was the right education, like, hey, you want this synthetic blanket for $20, or do you want this cotton or wool blanket for $40? Capitalism still wins. Yes, it's double the price, but it's real. And as long as people know it's real, they're not going to want to touch that cheap crap. So there's nothing wrong with capitalism. I could blame capitalism real quick. It's easy. But I think it's knowledge more than anything.
Or a lack
of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, I'm starting slowly switching things over. I can't switch everything over, like my soaps.
Yeah, right. Just pour all those out.
Trying to get all, filtered water throughout the whole house, right? Not using the wrong toothpaste or the wrong toothbrush. Trying to switch over my clothes slowly. I'm not going to, throw away my whole wardrobe.
Well, it's interesting because this topic is presenting itself to me recently and rapidly from multiple sources. So it's kind of like this wave of stuff that's coming into me, and it was really interesting. I was watching a video that was talking about how, these fragrances disrupt your hormones. That's like one side. Very next day, we have a good friend. He's got a little dog, and she's really getting up there. This dog is amazing and lived a very long time. So he's trying to keep her as healthy and going as long as possible. So, he asked that we would take out all of our plugins out of the wall.
Oh, interesting.
And kind of some funny story to it too, but he broke one of the bottles taking it away. It's like, so kind of like worsened the problem, but momentarily, and the dog wasn't around. But the point of it was, it was interesting that I had started seeing and hearing some of the stuff, and then like it was literally the next day where he was like, I just want to not have those chemical fragrances. What's interesting, and we see this a lot, people care about their pets more than they care about themselves.
Yeah, very true.
Would never ask us to unplug the air fresheners for himself, but for his pet. But the point is that these things disrupt life, and it's hard to say, no, it's not going to kill you. I mean, we're not going to walk into a room that smells good and
instantly, that fragrance too much.
But it's disruptive, and we're being disrupted a lot, and so I have a huge fragrance collection. I met my wife because she was the girl selling the fragrances.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
And all that stuff. And
now you're learning like, hey, this stuff.
No, and I'm really like backing off of all that. And I'm kind of sad because I love things that smell good.
Well, now you just have to go out in the backyard and just kind of spritz it a little bit, smell it, and run away.
No, and I think it's like what we've talked about. It's fine if we go out on a date night. It's fine to wear a little.
Yeah, exactly. Again, like you said, not 5% of your day, something like that, right?
Right.
Some poison here. But then again, I mean, we don't know like Wi-Fi. What is Wi-Fi doing to us? We have no clue. Not just Wi-Fi, just radio signals.
And it's all of them. Like we used to just have
bathing in them.
Right. Radio came out, then TV, and
it's more and more. Now we have satellites bombarding us with radio signals. And the thing is, like, technically there's no harm, right? All the studies show us no harm, but these studies are probably like working with wood sticks right now versus what we're going to know in 100 years. We're going to like, oh, this frequency messes up this chemical in this type cell, and that frequency messes with that chemical in that type cell.
Well, they also don't, as far as I know, have anything, if you relate it to like drug interactions, right? So there's, some people can't eat grapefruits because grapefruits have something in them that commonly interact with pharmaceutical drugs.
Okay.
So they take a cellular signal and they're like, okay, if we just have a thing isolated and we hit it with a cellular signal, we're good. But we never talk about, well, what about the interactions when it's with a whole bunch of other frequencies and signals and things mixed together? We don't live in a world where that's the only thing we're being exposed to, but we test it that way.
Yeah, well, okay, here's the thing. Like, you nailed it right there. Because, and this is from my experience working with wireless signals, they're tested like one frequency in this direction, and how, like, because we have a limit in all these frequencies, right? We can't have them too strong because they'll damage something. So there is something to it, right? We'll start boiling water or something. But then if it's dispersed enough, it's in a wide angle, it's far enough, it's harmless. Now we have 1,000 different frequencies floating around. Like you said, what does that do? It's not just the 5% now, it's 95% affecting
and then,
us.
We know stuff because it can't just be a coincidence. I don't know if you've ever looked into the studies of cancer under the power lines.
Speaking of power lines, I'm driving here and I hear sand hitting my car. Like, how little sand pieces, like you ever drove behind a truck?
Yeah.
Has sand, so, right? And then I look up, I realize my top's open. and I looking at power lines.
So what?
So those are like, if you ever stood in there along under power lines, they're obviously putting out some frequencies that you could feel and almost hear them, or hear them, almost feel them. It's the little crackling sound.
Oh, so there wasn't. I thought maybe the wires were corroded or something. I don't know.
No. I look up and I'm like on the freeway, and these big old power lines crossing the freeway. I look up, they're power lines.
Okay, so nothing was actually hitting your car. The
No.
noise.
The noise made it sound.
Yeah.
It seems so close, and I'm like, oh my god. And now you say people living on their power lines.
So I used to live, for a brief moment in my time, I lived under one of the big, like, the not the towers, but when you have those really high
Transmission
voltage
towers.
It's not, you know what I'm like? It goes through the parking lot here too.
Yeah, transmission line.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
The super high voltage ones.
Yeah. That's what I drove under.
Yeah. And I remember we would go outside in the night and it would be quiet. It was a pretty quiet place other than the wires. And you can hear them. You could hear them. It wasn't like they're audible. Like you just, So. Yeah.
So I mean that's one of them. Then let's, like, if we talk about clothes, we have no info on like how bad these clothes on us over 20 years. We don't know what they do.
And actually, what's
off.
crazy is there actually are some things on that. One, again, the polyesters that act like an estrogen.
Yeah.
And then there was actually an airline that had to change their uniforms because their employees were getting sick. And it was because they were all, synthetic clothes and synthetic dyes and all this stuff. We haven't even talked about dyes.
Oh, God. Dyes are everywhere.
Right.
My son's making ice cream, and we were looking at the recipes. There's the strawberry ice cream, and it said optional red 40. That's so much. I'm like, I don't think so.
No, and if you have to have color, there are ways to do it without that. You get beta carotene, you can make yellow.
Yeah, but it takes a long time.
I know.
It's not as efficient.
And it doesn't have that vibrancy for whatever reason.
Well, I mean, food coloring is, oil, so like.
Right, petroleum products.
Yeah, right.
So, and then did you ever hear about that? There's a guy, basically the guy who put lead into gas.
Well, I've heard multiple things about leaded gas, and like there's charts of like mental issues with leaded gas going up, and then they stopped doing leaded gas, the mental issues started going down.
And then we're fooled because, we think we live in an unleaded world now, and we don't, because airplane fuel is all leaded.
Really?
Right.
So bring it in.
We're not driving around in it, but anytime you see a propeller plane, not a jet, it's different.
Oh.
But all the propeller planes, the fuel.
There's not that many propeller planes. I mean, I do live next to airfields, so that explains many things.
But I mean, we get, I feel like we're just getting lied to and tricked a lot,
Yeah, and it's like almost going down this rabbit hole of research, because everything pretty much what we know has been like lied to, like this plastic imaginary world that we've been lied to about our diets, which we're like really having a hard time discovering, or easy time discovering, but like hard time to accepting it. Like, can it really be this bad? And it is. But now we're like talking about clothes, frequencies, smells, the air we breathe, the water we drink. I mean, it's over time, right? It built over time. It's not like it happened over a day. It's a little by little.
But it gets me back to that kind of question of, you take people like us, and we're trying to make choices to better our, just to better our life. We don't go out and do lines of cocaine, or, what I'm saying? So we're doing these things. We're trying to move in the best direction that we think we can find. And the criticism of the people around us, I don't know. It's like, I don't really, I like this, I like to share with viewers this way because we're a little shielded, but people that we care about, you start telling them all the things that you're not doing, or it's like, oh, well, we don't.
Well, okay, there is always gonna be criticism, and then the reverse on that. I notice how easy it is to criticize something, but then to educate them on, hey, why did you come to this conclusion, would take days, versus criticism takes seconds.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, criticize, boom. But now you're like, hey, let me educate you why you got to this conclusion. And I mean, I guess if you do, you've heard that whole chicken thing where if you start getting chickens.
Yes, you become a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, exactly.
Chickens lead to conspiracy theory, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is with many things. Like, you discover one thing that you thought it was real, it was good for you, and then you discover, no, it's fake and it's bad. And then after that, hopefully your mind is open and, like, you're receptive to, hey, these clothes are not really that good for you. But then again, the convenience. I mean, that thing is a killer.
And cost efficiency.
I mean, I'm gonna go to Costco. I like a shirt there. I'm gonna grab it.
Right. You're not even gonna check.
Yeah. Where am I gonna? Well, what am I gonna do? Look for cotton only shirts, 100% cotton.
Silk was okay.
Silk is okay. Okay. Silk, cotton, wool.
No, I think a lot of these things are a result of making a choice on purpose. You know what I'm saying? So when you need a new shirt, you don't just go and...
You don't impulse.
Right. You don't just go to the store and grab what's available and what's got the lowest price tag or red or your favorite color or whatever. There, you buy with intent.
So ultimately, impulse is killing us.
Yeah.
The convenience, but though if we could minimize a lot of this stuff, we can't do nothing about frequencies, but if we minimize the water, make the water cleaner or healthier, dress healthier clothes, sleep in a grounded sheet, right?
Get some sunlight.
Yeah, get some sunlight. Make sure your diet is not poison. I think we could do a lot of this stuff. Some things we just can't do, like you said, the weather seating. We can't do it, right? We can't do nothing about it. But a lot of things we can. So I think we should also focus a lot on what can we do on actually staying away from poisons in our life.
And honestly, I think that has mostly to do with what you said in the beginning, which is just education. Because I don't know what to clean my house with if I don't buy Lysol. And I know there's things out there. There's people that cleaned houses before Lysol was invented.
Yes, but all surfaces were wood. Now we have granite. We have all sorts of synthetic plastics. We have special woods with synthetic covers of plastics. Now we have glass covers, stainless steel. So like Lysol cleans it all.
It does. What's interesting though, I'm very curious to know how accurate this is. I saw a thing that was like a wooden cutting board. After you put something that like meat has bacteria on it,
Sure.
that on the wood, the bacteria dies in 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then on a plastic cutting board, it lives forever. But it's like crazy that it
bleach it just to kill it off.
Right. Instead of just letting it sit out and then wash it.
Switch to all wood.
Yeah, me too.
Well, little things. We can only do little things here and there, and over time, I think we just got to be, it's not, I wouldn't say it's even education. It's almost like self-education, because nobody's ever going to teach you unless your parents teach you and you're open-minded to hear it from somebody else.
But I think it's like the self-education and, it's like almost like dating. You wouldn't just date somebody. You wouldn't just go to the store, pick out the cheapest one, and then go. Right?
Well, that's what people do, though.
Oh, maybe. That gets back to my question. I keep like, how are so many people just living in a world where everything they do is an impulse?
Well, that's a good question. We live in the TikTok society now, the instant hit society, right? So that's killing us too because everybody's impulsive. And just
Right.
boom, boom, boom. Fast food, fast clothes,
Fast women.
fast women,
Yeah,
fast
men.
cars. Yeah. So it's the impulse driving this. I mean, okay, impulse is driving capitalism, right? We have the capitalistic system, which I have no gripes about. But if you're gonna have a better product that's healthier, the biggest problem is teaching the people why this is better, why the wool is better than the polyester
And why
blanket.
and why you should spend more money to get it.
Exactly. So, anyways, with that,
Stop killing yourself.
yeah, stop killing yourself. All right.